Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Andrew Moran, Dave Patterson, Kelly Ballard, and James Fight. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade a little more than a year ago. Caterwauling from progressives made our ears bleed. The High Court's decision essentially made abortion a state issue, and since that time, the states have been mighty busy. In fact, once Roe was overturned, several states trigger laws that went into effect. Jim, keep it civil, and can you explain what has and has not happened this last year since Roe v. Wade?
Sure. A lot has happened and a lot hasn't happened. Namely, the about 15 or 16 states, depending on whether you count North Carolina, their law goes into effect July 1st, have instituted some form of abortion ban or restriction. Another, I want to say 6 states have actually formalized a protection for abortion, either in state laws or state Supreme Court rulings or even in the state constitutions. And abortions are down, I want to say it's 6% in the 6 months from overturning a Roe to the point that this one group did the study, and mortality rates don't seem to be up. So people aren't just dying left and right because they can't have abortions, like progressives were afraid or said they were afraid was going to happen.
That main argument, the main
right,
argument.
yeah. Never mind the fact that every single state law that restricts abortion still allows for abortions to save the life of a mother. So
every state
that restricts it, yes.
That's kind of amazing. Kelly, you live in a very progressive part of the world. Are you guys experiencing a lot of protesting and lots of media coverage up there anywhere? I live in the heartland, and nobody's really doing anything unless they're in Indianapolis or very blue run city. The only thing I've noticed is human rights campaigns who declared this is a state of emergency. No, I thought that was ridiculous, but I mean, is that what's going on up there?
Well, in Seattle, there's protests every day for everything. So, that's really not a big thing here. I mean, it's just always a protest. But the big problem we're having here in Washington State is Idaho has restricted abortion laws. So the Idahoans, or however you pronounce their names, the people from Idaho are coming over and getting abortions. And so the health officials are warning women, don't expect it. You're going to be able to get an abortion right away because there may be a waiting list because there's so many people from other states coming here. And in Washington, kids don't need permission to get abortions, but they do have it. It's not a full term abortions. It's up to 24 weeks unless there is a health issue. So, but yeah. Children don't need permission. They don't need to tell their parents, nothing like that. And they bring them over from other states. So
it's a little bit
our
crazy.
abortion clinics are being overrun, I guess.
Canada, you people are so nice, except for your smog is all over my backyard. But Andrew, I mean, why don't you guys have problems up there? How come there's not this giant divide in Canada with pro-life and pro-abortion?
Well, first, I would say that it's such a lie that Canadians are nice. Canadians are not nice. Just go to Toronto, go to Union Station. Not nice. But anyway, on the subject of abortion, I've mentioned this on this program before, but Canada does not have any laws or any restrictions on abortion up until birth. Legally, if you want, you can have an abortion at 39 weeks. Now, the issue is that there aren't any healthcare providers in Canada who offer abortion services beyond 23 weeks. That is, of course, if there's a serious threat to the mother's life. But overall, you can't find any of these services. Now, if you look at some of the data, late-term abortions are not happening. But because we've become such a depraved society, I'm guaranteed in the coming years, you're going to see more people have late-term abortions, or they're going to be services in Toronto or Vancouver, the major urban centers, we're going to offer these services because, no longer is abortion supposed to be, rare and, not happening as much and not proud. Now is that it's a virtuous thing to have to kill a child. But on the political side too, in this country, 2/3 of the country's left, it's NDP or liberal, green as well. So if you're a conservative and you talk about perhaps restricting abortion, you're annihilated. There's no chance that you're gonna win your election. There are a few, of course, circumstances, but overall, you're not going to win. And for the ones who are absolutely opposed to abortion, they're defeated. So they're focused on Trudeaunomics, which is for Lisa Donner, of course. But Trudeaunomics is the main issue up here, not abortion.
Well, Dave, you, Kelly, and I are old enough to know when Roe was created in the first place. Has this made any difference? I mean, the whole this and that and back and forth over the years. Has it made a difference in our country, or is it just screwed it up?
Well, I think one of the unintended consequences there is that now the Department of Defense has gotten into the act. And you may have read that Senator Tuberville has put a hold on general officer promotions because he is opposed to the Department of Defense's activities in terms of giving leave to women who want abortions, and that comes at taxpayer expense. And consequently, you're using taxpayer dollars to fund abortions, and he's not in favor of that, and has put a hold on senior officer promotions, and has brought that issue into the National Security Forum.
I have no idea how that even got there, but that's ridiculous.
Well,
Jim, I'm gonna let you talk about, you have your thumb on the pulse on this issue, and I I just don't come across it. So I'm gonna let you have almost the last word, because I'll always get the last word. But go ahead.
Sarah always gets the last word. That's right. Well, one thing I would like to say, I'm old enough to know when that happened. I just wasn't old enough to be around when it happened. Hey, you said that you and Dave and Kelly were old enough to know when Roe was put into place. I'm old enough to know when it happened. I just wasn't there.
We were old enough to be there, is what she was saying.
I know.
Hey, why?
The concept.
Why do I deal with you, Jim? I don't know why. I don't know.
I just did the Patrick Stewart meme where he does this.
That's it.
Thanks, Tom.
Look, I mean, this is there are all kind of arguments. There's when does life begin? So is that a philosophical argument? Is it a medical science argument? When does a human being become a person? Is abortion good? Is abortion bad? Is it choice, or is it saving a life? It ultimately boils down to politics. None of these issues, in my opinion, are really the actual issue at heart. It's purely a matter of politics. Who's in control and who gets their way, and it's always going to be a divisive issue.
Earlier in the week, we were all having this kind of just prep discussion, and Andrew brought up an interesting thing. Andrew, talk about that religious angle that you brought up earlier this week.
Yeah. So, everyone knows we've had discussion before on C5. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a religious person. I'm spiritually insolvent and bankrupt. So my question is actually, when I was reading James' article, I was stumped because he says that, Muslim, Christians, Jews, they were trying to apply for religious exemption to have abortion demand access. So how does that square with religious teachings? Don't religious teachings supposed to tell you that you're not supposed to murder somebody, you're not supposed to have an abortion, you're not supposed to kill a child? How does that square with what you're taught about Jesus and God and all that?
Well, there's a few things there. One, it depends on the religion. And two, even so, we'll talk about Christianity. Well, Christianity isn't this one big monolith that all believes the exact same thing. You have sections of Christianity that are so far left. The Methodist Church, for example, there's a Methodist church in Canada that has not only a female LGBTQ pastor, but an atheist female LGBTQ pastor. I don't even know I can't even.
How does that work?
Actually, it defies the definition of the term pastor to be atheist. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I guess the point I'm getting at is there are radically progressive Christians, there are radically progressive Jews, there are radically progressive Muslims. The Satanic Temple has a lawsuit out. They barely bear mention because, of course, their beliefs are polar opposite of the Abrahamic religions. But then there is a very conservative aspect of each one of those religions, and then there's a spectrum of political ideology and general permissibility that everybody else falls on. And so, generally speaking, most Christians, most Jews, I won't speak to Muslims, I have no idea, but most Christians and most Jews do not believe that on-demand abortion, just for the heck of it, is okay. Generally speaking, the only time you hear the non-far left radical small subset of either of the religions talking about abortions, they're talking about to save the mother's life. In Judaism specifically, the issue becomes, when does an unborn child become alive? Now, traditional Jewish thought is it's when they take their first breath. So having an abortion isn't exactly murder. It's ending a potential human life. But with the Jews, for example, and why some groups of Jews are pushing for religious exemptions, if not to just completely overturn the law, is that according to tradition, until that baby's head comes out, if the pregnancy causes a life-threatening issue for the mother, they're required to abort because the mother's life has primacy.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, we're never going to figure this out, are we? And can America even get close to, closing that divide? Make conservatives and progressives and Democrats, is there ever any way to make an acceptable law? But with or without Roe, abortion is likely to remain a divisive issue for all of us for years to come. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Special thanks to our editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio. I'm Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today. Free thinking, free speech, libertynation.com.